How do? It's time for Spider and Old Scooter again. This is the METI edition. M-E-T-I. METI. Stands for Messaging Extraterrestrial Intelligences. And like every imaginable field of interest, the magic of the internet discloses that it's a huge deal. Lots and lots of people follow it. Books are written, and scientific papers are written, all kinds of stuff is written. People tangle over some of the issues. But anyway, I got involved in it today, and so I'm going to dedicate tonight's game to METI. This gives me an opportunity to fill the screen with my book covers. This is the art for A Reluctant God, which is a 2014 publication, and talked about it in terms of METI today. So I thought I'd put it up so you could see. This was an artist, Malcolm McClinton. I sent him a sketch. We met online. He does this for a living. Did this thing in like a week or 2 days or something. I got it about a week later. We made a few changes, and this is the spaceship. Isn't that cool? And this giant web is a whole bunch of story. But see how it's attached all over. It's not a malign web, nor is a spaceship like a spider. It has whole different things. This is the bad guy, and this is the water planet, and this is your humble servant's name, and so forth. So, gave me an opportunity to do that. Plug at every shot. That's my theory. But mainly we're here to play Spider Solitaire. I'll be discussing a few other things. I'm, as usual lately, totally bemused by the news. So we're going to get underway here and see if I can shed some bemusement and maybe make a few points. Don't know. You never know. But Spider Solitaire is a great game, in my opinion, for getting your mind off things or to procrastinate with. I do a lot of that. As you know, I feign at being a writer, and when you're writing, you're working along there and you get stuck. You can't think of what your character would say were he a real person. And I get frustrated, and so I come over and play a little Spider Solitaire. And it somehow refreshes my mind. So after a game or two, I go back and suddenly dialogue pops into my mind. Or if I know people are not supposed to scratch your nose and their ears and so forth when on camera, which this barely qualifies for that, but I want you to know if it itches, I scratch it. The news, if it makes you a little nuts, is more tolerable if you just sort of get into playing this game. It's that nice mix of complexity and subtlety and simplicity. I go heavy on the simplicity, of course. There's all kinds. So that's bad grammar, but you know what I mean. Of tactics and strategies for playing this game. It's hard for me to describe mine. It's a risk-taking game. It's a gambling game. Face it, that's probably why it's so engaging, is that you make bets. There are many possible moves in many possible cases, and the premise is you paid $500 for the joy of this game, and you have to hit $550 to break even, and you spend $1 every time you make a move. And you can spend a lot of money if you're not careful, because it goes quantum on you at 50 moves, and suddenly every move costs you $10. That's a gambler's game. The way I play it, it lacks one characteristic of a good gamble, and that is you can't fold. You got to go all the way to the end. You got to make every last reasonable play. Even though it's the 6th deal and the game is over. And you might make this move if it was the 3rd deal, but it's the 6th, and there's nothing to be gained for it. But if you would have made it in the 3rd deal, you have to make it then. You have to make every reasonable move. Why am I lecturing on this game? I could be talking about our President Donald Trump's New York Times interview. Everybody on news is just, once again, ad nauseum, right up to the edge of way too much news about Trump. But he did have an interesting, conversation at the New York Times. Apparently squeezed in the interview between a couple of other important issues. Nothing is more important than getting your name in the paper, if you ask me. And he said a lot of interesting stuff, and I will not regurge. I just want you to know that I was bemused again by that. And then driving along in the car, listening to the radio, suddenly this cybersecurity alliance with the Russians that Trump has said he's going to do, and then that he's not going to do it, it's impossible, is apparently being done. So I did not drive off the road when I heard that, but I had to sort of twitch. What? There you go. I wrote something on my blog today I'm proud of. Aren't you proud of me for being proud of my blog? The blog is seniorjuniorruntogether.blogspot.com. Google's blogging service. Free. I'm sure they're collecting my toenail parings by me using it, but it's kind of user-friendly, and heaven knows I need that. See, here's the gambling part is I could take this over here and have this 7, but I would block this little guy. If I really needed that 7, I'd do it. But I can't see that. Here's another one. Across the color line, block the 3. To see what's under there is a 2, which I can play on. So see, I'm spending money like a drunken wharf rat because I feel like it's going to happen. I'm going to make a little money here. My objective is just to try to stay ahead of the game so I don't have to leave the casino with my head down. Oh, nice. Took me a while to see it, but it usually does. But as a gambling game that has a track record for being very distracting. Oh, Spider Mac. Spider Mac is my name, if you haven't figured it out. Spider McGillicuddy is the AI behind this game. Plays a heck of a game. With 2 deals to go, have not punched a single hole in the thin blue line. I told you, if it itches, I scratch it. Hey, all right, I'm going to see what's under there. An ace. I did not need an ace, but should I leave it up this late in the game? Maybe so. Making a little harlequin over here. Red, black, red, black. So, I'm deeply offended in my libtard soul at the Chris Kobach-led commission on voting fraud. It itself an open, obvious, blank-faced grab for power, a typical fascist move. I said the F word. So, that's why I'm not finding any moves. I'm so distracted I can't count. I'll try another deal, see if it brings me back to reality. Here's an ace for a 2. Nothing there, nothing there. Oh, this game had a little spark to it, and then all of a sudden, it got soggy. We have an ongoing, small, undefined fire scare going on right now here in the mountains east of Albuquerque. There's either smoke or the thickest fog I've ever seen traversing down a canyon, one canyon over from our little canyon. But none of us can smell smoke. The fire departments have been alerted. There's been no follow-up. Right now, one of my neighbors is tromping through the wet woods, thank heavens it rained, to see if he can get close enough to smell if it's really smoke or not. If it's really smoke, then we'll start officially worrying, even though the forest is dripping. I'm being kind of a drip myself here. You're probably seeing me overlook moves. Overlook? Look over. No? Overlook. Sometimes the words muddle back in the mind. Okay, we got a 10 for that. A 7 to play on that 8. 8 for that 9. This is me making all those moves that aren't going to do anything except fulfill the obligation to make all those moves. I call this the hospice round. METI. METI messaging. That's the other thing I do when I get too frustrated with the news, is I go read some science news, which is nearly universally good news, fun news. Oh, last week's and this week's Science magazine were just absolute barn burners. I've thought of summarizing some of the great stories here on the old spider and old scooter thing, but I don't know that. I'm not sure that's in the right spirit of this. I'm supposed to grouse about political things, not swoon over scientific progress, which is about the only kind of progress we're going to make here and now. Suddenly, from being $100 in the tank, I'm $1 in the red. So that's fulfillment of a sort. You go from an embarrassing loss to a bearable loss. And that's about it. I've gotten all the weird stuff I want to say said. What more can a man ask? I join you in prayer. The only legitimate prayer is thank you, Lord. Sounds like a good title for a novel.